All right, so I wanted to take a little bit of time here to talk about Never Early Fest, which was a music festival I got to be a part of down at Power Plant Live. It was an honor to get asked to play and be a part of it. Stellar lineup. It was like 50 some bands. A lot of really great local talent mixed in with regional and national talent. The headliners were Deep Blue Something, who most people know the song Breakfast at Tiffany's. They wrote that. There's also a band Sponge on there, who I love their song Plowed. So I'll just give my recap here, and you'll see in the video version of this on YouTube, I will have footage that I filmed from the day. I had a lot of friends playing, so I went to get some footage of them and just ended up getting footage of all the bands that were playing. So yeah, I essentially, there were about 5 or 6 stages, so I was trying to route my day the best as possible so that I could enjoy as many of my friends' sets as possible in the time that I had. If you've never been to Power Plant Live, it's a pretty cool setup down in downtown Baltimore near the Inner Harbor. They have a bunch of bars and areas where they can have music and stuff. So the bands were pretty spread out across multiple stages, and it kind of made for a really cool dynamic for being able to go and hang out in a different area and check out the bands that are there, and then go to another area and check out the bands that were there. A lot of room for just discovering new music, which is something I feel like is sorely missing in today's climate of checking out, of supporting local bands. So I got down there pretty early because my set was supposed to be earlier. They actually moved me later in the day, which was, no big deal for me. I was just happy to be there. I wasn't expecting a bunch of people to come hang out, but you still run into so many amazing people that from the scene. So the first band I got to catch of the day was none other than our boys, Old Eastern. Excited to have them playing my album release show August 23rd. Sadly, they got a late start because Deep Blue Something was doing their sound check and ran a little late. And then they had to set the stage for all the other bands, but they still got to play like 5 or 6 songs, and they sounded incredible on that stage. Those guys are a class act. Highly recommend checking them out. I've had many of their people on my podcast. Nick and Molly from Old Eastern Ink Shop. Brendan Clark, who just released his solo record. And then Alicia O'Malley, who wasn't with them that day, but, I'm sure she was with them in spirit. But, so Old Eastern kicked things off. I tried to make my way around as much as possible. Weekends at noon was ever at the Tin Roof stage. Those guys are cool. We did a show together in December, opening for a band called Return to Dust, who were just like a really awesome rock band. If you like Alice in Chains and stuff, check them out. Return to Dust, they freaking rip. So check them out. I did go upstairs, check out some of the bands upstairs, but I mostly stuck to the ground floor because I wasn't trying to be climbing up and down stairs all day. I had checked out a little bit of Dan Ingham, who is playing one of my songwriter showcases later this year. Really cool guy, great singer-songwriter, songs out there. Check him out. And then I got over to check out my homies in Shuttlecraft, who played a great set, kind of like pop punk. They they are known for doing the Green Day covers on Instagram. They've covered every Green Day song on their page. So if you're into that, if you're into checking out a band that sounds like Green Day but has their own stuff, I definitely recommend Shuttlecraft. They did a pretty sweet mashup or medley of Green Day tunes in their set too, which got a bunch of people all pumped up. Right before Shuttlecraft too, I just want to shout out Southview Drive. I only caught a few minutes of their set, but they fucking ripped. Great powerhouse band. So after that, I went back over to my stage. I checked out a singer-songwriter. Her name was Luca. She's actually the one that swapped slots with me because she needed to go earlier. And then right after her was some friends in Distance to Dawn played. They're kind of like pop punk, emo-ish type stuff. They've been doing a lot of cool tribute shows lately. They do like Avril Lavigne and stuff like that at the local emo shows. So they're pretty cool band. They also just opened for Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, and those are really cool dudes. And Chick, the singer is she rocks. So I also checked out Hollowed Sky. Also, they got a awesome singer, Robin. She sings in a local cover band that plays like all over the place. But Hollowed Sky are kind of like more of a prog metal, hard rock type band. Kind of a little bit more, I would say, experimental. Like a little bit more, a lot of really cool riffs, a lot of heavy energy, a lot of heavy, just rocking and headbanging. So those guys are really cool. Sadly, I didn't get a chance to say hi to Robin, but I gave her one of my shirts, or I gave one of the guys a shirt to give her, so hopefully she gets that. And then I also caught No Promises, who were just on the podcast. Caught a few of their songs before I had to go perform my set. They sounded great. That stage in general was just where I hung out most of the day. It's like the Tin Roof stage, but it's not really Tin Roof anymore because Tin Roof kind of moved out of there. But pretty much all my friends were playing over there, so I try to get over there as much as possible. So who else did I catch? I mean, the main stage was stacked with kind of like most of the main bands that were playing. Even though I didn't really know most of them, like kind of like regional bands that they kind of all have their own followings and stuff. I really wanted to see Sponge, but they were kind of wedged between two bands that I wanted to see, which were Schizocalypso and Circuit Villains, because neither of them had played in a while, so I was really excited to catch some of their set. So I played my set. My set was fun. It was the beer garden out there where they had the acoustic stage. Nothing too crazy. People were kind of hanging out. Tossed out some shirts. Just trying to make it a fun, interactive thing for people who were there to just, that's one of those stages where I feel like people would just kind of go to sit down and have a beer and get some food. They're not really they need a break from the band. So I was just trying to make it fun for the people that were there hanging out. And I played, a bunch of songs off my new record. All the hits. Played all the hits. But I was really excited to wrap up my set and get over and catch Schizocalypso, who sounded great. I know they had a couple of guys playing with them for the first time, but solid set. Played a lot of really great songs from their catalog of, 30 years now, 30 plus years. So they ripped, great set. And then Circuit Villains came up. They played a set. Like, couldn't even tell that they've been off for almost a year at this point. Excited to hear what new stuff they've got coming. They're definitely one of like the top tier local bands that are out there. So yeah, that was pretty much most of my day, was hanging out at Tin Roof. After they were done, I went over and I checked out a little bit of the Pie Tasters, who are, they're not, jeez, my phone. They're not something I'd typically listen to, but they had great energy. The singer had this real crooner type energy that was, just like not something I'm used to checking out. So I caught a little bit of their set, but I really wanted to stick around and see Deep Blue something because, everybody knows the one song, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and, I don't think it's anyone's favorite 90s song, but it's a fun song, but I wanted to see if they had more to offer than that song. And I got to say they did. They had a really good set. I sat and watched their whole set. Sadly, there wasn't a lot of people there, but for the most part, it's tough with a day that long to get people to stick around unless there's just like an entire lineup of bands that you want to see. Whereas like, with this, it's kind of like a lot of bands that people might know one or two of them, but they're not. It's a lot to ask them to come and watch all these bands they've never seen. It's a lot for anyone to really take in, but it was still a really cool event, and Deep Blue Something brought it. I want to say they had a very Cure-esque sound. Like they reminded me a lot of The Cure, a lot of like Morrissey. What's Morrissey's band? Son of a Gun, Morrissey's band. I feel like a dumb, because I cover one of their songs. Morrissey, The Smiths, duh. Like they just kind of had this like retro, like 80s kind of sound where it just like, this kind of active bass parts with acoustic guitar and delayed electric guitars, and it felt like a real wall of sound, and the singers sounded great. They had a few guys that sung lead, so there was like kind of like a lot of diversity to the set. And then they closed out the set with a cover of Don't Change by INXS, which was awesome. So but overall, gotta give props to Rapola Entertainment, who spearheaded this. Power Plant Live for hosting it, everybody that helped promote it, hoping that they'll be able to do it again next year and make the lineup even better. I know there's not a lot of great opportunities for local bands to play on something like this and make it, like something that's a great opportunity to be discovered by new fans that want to see great new local music. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about this. Make sure you check out my schedule, because I'm always trying to incorporate these other awesome bands from our scene into our shows and make it just support each other. So thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you soon.